Deep dives into the fantasy game, they're upcoming on future episodes of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. But for now, we're zeroed in on the Atlantic Division playoff preview. Panthers, Bolts, Leafs, and Sens. We're getting into it, baby. Let's tap in and let's get this paper.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Wind me up, and here we go, baby. It's an extra spicy edition of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. We are coming in red hot with the Atlantic Division playoff preview. Steele and I are breaking down both series, one by one, with everything that you need to know from Bolts and Cats and Leafs and Sens. Welcome into the Thursday episode of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Shout out to the everydayers holding us down, making us your first listen every single day. It's playoff season, Steele, and
yes,
you know
sir.
I'm fired up. I'm going to try and dial it down a little bit because there's still work to do here. You and I are going to talk about fantasy, keeper dynasty, top fives, top tens, and yeah, draft preparation. However, we have playoff business to attend to. Tomorrow's episode, we'll get out west. But for today's episode, let's get after it. Over to you, Bolts, Cats. We'll get to the Leafs. We'll get to your bets for tonight. But let's start off with the Battle of Florida.
I love the fact that this is a first-round matchup. Same with the Leafs and the Senators. Battle of Ontario, Battle of Florida. This is what we live for, and this is the favorite time of the season, of the year, with the playoffs right around the corner starting on Saturday. Lightning and Panthers season series were split 2 apiece. Each team won 2 games. Recent playoff history between them. Of course, we know last year the Panthers beat them in 5 games on their way to winning the Stanley Cup. But also in 2021 and 2022, the Tampa Bay Lightning won back-to-back series in those years. So these guys have played each other a lot in the last 5 years. And this is going to be a really good test. And we've already seen the Battle of Florida heating up in the month of April. Real quickly, before I throw it back over to you, Lightning, 5th ranked power play at 26.2%. They also have the 7th ranked penalty kill at 81.5. So they're in the top 10 on both special teams. And then over to the Florida Panthers. They're also top 5 in the power play category. Penalty kill a little bit worse, but still very good on special teams. When you look at this team, and obviously I know, you want to talk about that top line, Kucherov, Gensel, and Point. When you look at this matchup, you look at the series, obviously they're going to be key components, key players for this matchup, but who's the X factor for the Tampa Bay Lightning and Florida Panthers that could really make a difference in this series?
You want me to get right to my X factor? I like it.
Yes,
it's spicy, and I'll hit you with it right now. It's Brendan Hagel. You sent me a graphic of how good this player has been this season. You and I have actually spoken at length about Brendan Hagel. How about how much we loved what we saw from him at the Four Nations as well, showing up from his team, but also just being an effective piece. John Cooper gets the best of his men, let's be clear. And Brendan Hagel is a huge beneficiary of John Cooper's coaching. So to me, that top line, I've been texting you about them. Not enough respect paid to Gensel, Point, and Kucherov. But when you look at this team, if they can get a guy like Brendan Hagel going, they might be too much for the Florida Panthers to handle. So right out the gate, thank you for putting me on the hot seat. It's Brendan Hagel. We're going to have to talk about his fantasy value headed into next season. That's an intriguing player. Like you said, Tampa, 5th on the PP, 7th on the PK. But how about this, Steele? 1st in goals for, 5th in goals against per game, and they are 2nd in the NHL behind only the Winnipeg Jets at a plus, what are they at here? 79 goal differential. Let's be very real here. And I'm getting serious on today's episode. I don't even care how fired up I am. This is the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. They are very hard to play against. And I'll talk about them in a second. But that's how good the Tampa Bay Lightning are. And we'll get to the predictions. We'll get to the bets. But I guess what I want to leave it at here is, Steele, if this Tampa Bay Lightning team can continue to do what they've done in the blue paint with the rejuvenated Andrei Vasilevskiy, who has looked sensational this year. He's running back the clock steal. That might be a combination, along with what we said up front. Andrei Vasilevskiy is easily just as good as Bobrovsky, in my opinion. And with how he's looked, Steele, hey, I'll tip my hand early. I'm leaning Bolts here in this one, but we'll get there.
Hey, look, Vasilevskiy is even better than Bobrovsky, but this is going to be a showdown between those two cats in the crease. I'm right there with you. X factor is Brandon Hagel. If you told me at the beginning of the season that this guy was going to finish the year with 35 goals, 90 points, and top 10 in the league in points,
wow,
I would not have believed you. He's been absolutely incredible. He's a plus 34 on the year, 226 shots, 15.5 shooting percentage. This guy does it all for the Tampa Bay Lightning alongside Braden Point, Victor Hedman, Kucherov, Gensel, another 40-plus goal season for him. In the last 3 seasons with the Lightning, he's been crucial part to their playoff run. 5 points in 2022 in 6 games, 5 points last year in 5 games. This guy's been a point-per-game player the last 2 seasons in the postseason, and that good. So I'm right there with you. Brandon Hagel, to me, is the X factor in this series. Over to the Florida Panthers, though, I'm looking at a guy like Brad Marchand. I think he's a very, very crucial piece in their success this season. A guy who's been in the playoffs since he was 22 years old when he won the Stanley Cup with the Boston Bruins. Take this in. 138 points in 157 postseason games. He's captain clutch for a reason. He's been so good the postseason throughout his entire career. And that's just another dangerous player to add into the group alongside a guy like Sam Bennett. Those two are going to create chaos in the offensive zone in front of Andrei Vasilevskiy. So a guy like Brad Marchand is who I'm looking at to really contribute. I know he hasn't had the most jumped off the page production so far with the Panthers. Only 4
That's to be expected, I'd say.
It is to be expected. Understandable. New team. You're trying to, also coming back from injury as well. Yeah. It's a big adjustment for a guy who's been in the league and with one team for a long time, but postseason comes around. We know he's going to be locked in. I'm also looking at a guy like Aaron Ekblad on the back end when he comes back after this 20-game suspension. So him, I talked about this on yesterday's episode with one crucial defenseman jumping off the page offensively. I think Aaron Ekblad, the former first overall pick, can be that guy.
To me, this one is clear cut, and there is no wrong answer with picking an X factor. That's not what I'm trying to say about your guys. Matthew Tkachuk. We've said this at length about Matthew Tkachuk and what it means not only to the overall outcome and success of the team, the swagger, the confidence, the energy of this entire squad, front to back, runs through Matthew Tkachuk. We saw it the year that they went all the way to the finals and lost. We saw it last year, even though he was injured. And when he is in there, Steele, he is a game-changing piece. No doubt about it, no matter what you want to say. And I'd say the same about his brother, and we'll talk about that later in the episode, as much as it pains me to say that. 2 things in my notes quickly. Relentless forecheck. That wins you games. This team is tough to play against. Stick battles, the small things. Hashtag Paul Maurice. You've got the 2 best coaches, in my opinion, going toe-to-toe, Steele. You've had 100%. The Panthers banged up all year, though, and you've also had this team do exactly what I just said. Play more games than any other squad in the NHL, and that is something that we have to consider when you're talking about playoff hockey going up against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So if you'd like to, we can spit out a prediction now, or why don't we come back from break? We'll finish up with our bets for this series and predictions, however you want it, pal. I'm ready to go.
Let's spit it out right now. I got my best bet for this series. First of all, it's got to go to the Cooch man over there. Hey. Best bet of this series, Nikita Kucherov, point leader in this matchup. I'm also going with the Lightning in 7. I really wanted to go with Lightning in 5. It's a little spicy to do that. That's how dangerous I think this team is. You know how much I really think the Colorado Avalanche can make a deep playoff run this year and might be the dangerous team in the West. Okay. I think the Lightning are a very scary team right now. Vasilevsky's feeling it. The top group is buzzing. Victor Hedman on the back end, of course, hasn't lost his touch whatsoever. Lightning in 7 is what I'm going with.
I like 2 bets. I like Bolts to win the series at -102. I like the series to go the distance at +190. This one has 7-game war written all over it. Bolts in 7. We're on the same page. That's my prediction as well. Let's get down to serious business. DJ Tiesto voice. It's the Battle of Ontario coming up next. And on tomorrow's episode, we're headed out west, baby. Don't miss a single episode. We'll be back to Fantasy Focus all next week. Keep it tapped right here. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel gives new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet. You get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet hits. We are loving the FanDuel app. You know how it's so easy to use. We love the same game parlays. We love getting in on the action live, and payouts are super fast, almost immediate these days, Steele. Thank you, Rory McIlroy. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today.
And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Pod your first listen every single day. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, the follow button. We appreciate all that love and support. Tune in Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock in the morning is when you can find our episodes. This is what we really wanted to get down to. The Battle of Ontario, Toronto Maple Leafs, Ottawa Senators. This is a grudge match for all the marbles, all the bragging rights, and this is what we live for in fantasy hockey and watching as hockey fans. Maple Leafs, of course. Let's get down to the numbers. The season series was not good for the Buds. The Senators took all 3 games in the regular season, but let's look at the playoff history. There was a good stretch between 1999 and 2004 that the Leafs and Senators played each other 4 times. And in those 4 series, the Leafs won all 4 of them. So I'm going based off of what we do in the playoffs, what we're seeing in the playoff history. I'm fired up for this segment right now. Before I throw it back over to you, Maple Leafs, 7th ranked power play, 16th ranked penalty kill, which I want to talk about. Senators, 13th best power play and the 19th ranked penalty kill. So these are 2 teams that kind of struggle on the penalty kill, which I really want to talk about, but some really good offensive weapons when they get on the man advantage. So over to you, X factors, predictions, whatever you want to talk about. Let's start with the Leafs, though.
First and foremost, I'll live in the nostalgia all day long, but it means nothing now at this point in time.
I know.
However,
it doesn't. I know.
I'll still hang on to it, Steele, and that's okay because we're a bit petty, but that's fine. First note that I have here under the Sens is the power play to me, when it clicks, when they're looking good in Ottawa, it's deadly. And the Leafs PK can look anemic at times. So thank you for knocking that one out the park at the beginning. And I said earlier in this season, I've said it at like literally on repeat. So thank you for highlighting special teams. X factor for me for the Ottawa Senators, and I know it's a cop-out, it is their power play. If the Leafs want to play sloppy, and you know the Ottawa Senators are going to be in their face, be in the bonnet, trying to rattle the cage, playing physical, and that is an edge that the Sens have. They are not only, a very kind of a be in your bonnet type team, they're confident against the Maple Leafs right now. So if that is going to get in the heads of the Buds and they're going to take some bad penalties, to me, an X factor for the Ottawa Senators, and it might have to be, is their ability to score on the man advantage and really make Toronto pay. To me, Steele, that is the main way, other than Linus Ullmark perhaps stealing a game or two, that this team is going to have success against Toronto.
I think you can look across the Ottawa Senators and find many X factors, many key components to what they need to do in order to win a series. And those are all great points that you just made. For me, I'm looking at some leadership, someone who can keep the group focused and calm going into this first round, that the Ottawa Senators haven't been in the playoffs since 2017. So I think Claude Giroux is the perfect guy for an X factor, and that's who I'm looking at to be a difference maker in this first round. A guy who's been there time and time again, has 81 points in 95 games in the playoffs with the Philadelphia Flyers, 8 points in 10 games with the Florida Panthers that one season when he was traded there as well. I think this is a guy, again, when you have such a young group and they finally accomplish this goal of getting to the playoffs, which they've worked hard for the last 5-6 years with, obviously, Brady Tkachuk, Shabbat, Sanderson, you bring in Linus Allmark, all those guys. Claude Giroux is a guy that is the glue. He can keep the room together if things start going south on them quick in a tough matchup against the Maple Leafs. And even with the season where he's only had 50 points in 80 games, so it doesn't jump off the page offensively, and we can talk about his value fantasy-wise.
For sure.
When it comes to the playoffs, I think that is the perfect guy who can lead by example, get the group remaining focused, pumped up, ready to go, and do everything he needs to do to keep them going into this first round. So Claude Giroux for me, alongside your two guys, I think can be really good X factors in this first round.
I think it needs to be said, credit due to the Ottawa Senators this season in the regular season for holding the Leafs also in those 3 games. I had this here, Steele. They held them to 3 goals across 3 games this season. They know how to beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. They've got it done. However, I'll also say this, and I have a number of things I'd still like to say if you're okay with it, because there is so much on the line here. And I will say, I believe Ottawa is playing with house money. The pressure is clearly all on the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Ottawa Senators were expected to be a bubble team at best. That's the success. They already have had a successful season, and they're pushing toward being a prolonged playoff appearance type team. So pressure's on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's be clear there. Number 2, this is Anthony Stolarz headed into this series is 8-0-0 with 2 shutouts and a .950 save percentage. In the last 20 years of me watching Toronto Maple Leafs hockey, Steele, even longer, most times the Leafs back into the playoffs. The Leafs have been a little up and down this year, but don't tell me for 1 second that they haven't been playing some of the best hockey that we've seen from them in a very long time. And if Anthony Stolarz puts up that kind of numbers, it won't matter, because that's the kind of goaltending that carries you through the postseason. And let me just leave it at this, because I'm getting extra fired up, and I do want to talk about Leafs X factors. If this team doesn't show up in game 1, and I mean the Toronto Maple Leafs, I'm not going to be that guy who says panic button, the series is over, but this is such a critical game to affect the confidence of this young Ottawa team. The experience is an angle that we have to bring up, Steele. The Leafs are battle-tested. Have the battles gone their way? Not really, but that's still battle-tested. The Ottawa Senators are not. Gotta take game 1. Tease to my bets for this series. To me, it's absolutely critical.
They really do, because when you look at the past with the Maple Leafs, game 1 has never been their strong suit. They seem to always get embarrassed. They always seem to lose game 1, and that is a crucial one. It's a bad start to get off to. And to your point with the Maple Leafs, they've been great in the month of April. Only 1 loss so far this month. They still have the game against the Detroit Red Wings tonight, which we'll get to later in the episode. Big time bets. X factor for me. Look, I know you think that Auston Matthews, he needs to be the driving force, and I'm not even going to say you're wrong, because he really does have to. But when I look at what this team has done in the regular season, they have 5 20-plus goal scorers on the team right now. Bobby McMann, Matthew Knies, Marner's got 100 points. Matthews is showcasing not just his goal scoring ability, but his playmaking ability with 45 assists on the season, 77 points in 66 games. John Tavares is having an insane year at the age of 34, and William Nylander has been the most consistent player all season long for the Maple Leafs. So my X factor, I have full trust in that top 4 group. It's got to be Matthew Knies, a guy who is
too, Steele.
It's got to be Matthew Knies. He's been a juggernaut in the 2 past playoffs for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's been incredible to watch this season. Career year for him. 3 points last year in 7 games, 4 points the year before that. He gets in on the forecheck. He gets physical. What is it? He's one of 3 players this entire regular season with 25 plus goals, over 150 hits, and 50 penalty minutes. He's outstanding. He's exactly what the Leafs need in this series against the Ottawa Senators, who are going to be very tough physically. And a guy that, going into a contract year, give him what he wants. 8.5. I absolutely love him. He's been fantastic for the Leafs. Lock him up. That's my X factor.
He's my X factor too. I got a few more things to say. Let's get there after the break. Let's get to your bets. Let's drop the puck on this bad boy already, Steele. It's playoff season, baby. We push all year long. Fantasy is one thing. We're still going to work on that. Get you guys ready through the off season. Bunch of different angles to cover over the coming weeks. but we're fired up and focused on playoffs, bets, and what's going on in the world of NHL. Hey, it all translates into you knowing more about the game, and that means prolonged fantasy success. Let's get after it, Steele. I got a couple more things to say about the Leafs, though, right after the break.
Predictions, bets, and of course, Matthew Knies. Let's continue that conversation. But first, this episode is also brought to you by Amazon Fire TV. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller. Subscribers sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed. As easily as you stream your favorite shows, it's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With 4K streaming, watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. Play high-quality Xbox games at a fraction of the cost of a console. Already have a console? A Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel with, allowing you to take your games wherever you plug in. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. And once again, thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Pod your first listen every single day. Smash that subscribe button, the follow button. We appreciate and love you all out there that tune in Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yes,
Flip, we're going to get the big time bet soon, and of course our predictions. But let's wrap up on Matthew Knies and why he is going to be the X factor in this first round series.
It's very similar to what I was talking about, the top line, the top big guns on the Tampa Bay Lightning. If someone other than Willie, Mitchie, and Poppy can get going, whether it's Tavares, Knies, Domi, or McCann, and add that other wrinkle, that other player that you have to focus on the ice other than the obvious, that's when this team can be really dangerous. And what I wanted to leave it at with Matthews is, it has to be him leading the charge. And this is why. Look back at even like the last 25 Stanley Cup winners. Even teams that fell short last year in the Oilers. The best players, the very best players on these teams are game changers every single night. He is that good. He's the captain now. He is the best goal scorer in the league other than Alex Ovechkin, and he still might be the best of all time. We don't know. So when you're that good and the expectations are there, the C's on you, and you have the game-changing ability, to me, that means it has to run through you. He has to carry this team. Is it nice if someone else does it? Will it happen? Maybe. But if he does, this team is going to go on a run. I'll say it now. They are more than good enough. If he goes on a heater, Steele, look out for the Leafs. That's what I wanted to say about that. Could it go another way? Well, like how you said, for sure. But if we wanted to get this done and we want to get all of this BS out of the way and all the stuff that we have to deal with as Leafs fans every single year for quiet, Ottawa or otherwise, 34 comes out and blows the doors off of the Sens, they got no chance.
Yeah, I mean, they really don't, and I hope that happens. Prediction.
I'm sorry, by the way. I'm yelling now. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. Hey, we're fired up for the playoffs, and we're fired up for our team, the Buds, going against, of course, the rival Ottawa Senators. My best prediction going into this series, I'm taking William Nylander, goal leader. I'm also taking William Nylander, series point leader. I think he's going to be huge in this first round. When you look at his playoff stats, he's got 43 points in 54 games. You know, that series against Boston last year, if he's in there, if he doesn't get injured, he was huge. 3 goals in 4 games. I'm looking at Nylander to be that number one guy offensively. So that's my two best series bets for this Sens Leafs matchup. Prediction, I'm going with the Maple Leafs in 6 games.
I might get teary-eyed, Steele. I like your angle with Willie, and at this point, I don't even care. But for me, the points leader, after how heated I just got about Auston Matthews, at plus 340 to be the series points leader, I'm going to jump all over that. That's a very, very juicy number, in my opinion. I had Auston Matthews tab here for his postseason career. 55 career postseason games. He has 48 points. So very similar to Willie. Drop the puck already. I got one more thing to say, though, Steele. I like the games in this series to go over 5.5 at -170. Not a ton of value. Slap it into a parlay. Thank me later. Leafs in 6.
Leafs in 6. Hey, we're on the same page with this Atlantic Division
Boom.
matchup. Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay Lightning, Leafs in Sens. We're fired up here. Real quick, big time bets for Thursday, last day of the regular season.
I'm staying away, so you go ahead.
We're throwing winners out there. And look, if somehow, and we don't know, we're recording early on Wednesday.
Always.
If somehow the Montreal Canadiens fumble this and choke against the Carolina Hurricanes, don't come up with a single point, I think the Blue Jackets get in and they beat the Islanders to do so. So first pick, Blue Jackets on the money line against the Islanders. Second pick, Leafs on the money line against the Red Wings at home. Kings on the money line against the Calgary Flames. They fought hard. They fought there's a lot of, they were very close, but they came up short. Kings on the money line, lock of the night. I'm going with Blue Jackets.
At this point, Steele, I'm saving my bullet for the postseason. If you're out there making bets like my boy, Mr. Roden, kudos to you. Follow the kid. Make sure you guys are tapped in. We'll be bringing bets every single night, 5 nights a week, some Saturday specials mixed in there all the way until that cup gets lifted, Steele. Hey, happy NHL season, my friend. It's in the books, and we did it.
Happy NHL season. Happy fantasy season as well. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Pod your first listen. For your second listen, make sure you go check out the Locked On NHL Game Night. Every game, every night until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. From your boys here on the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Pod, we wish you good luck with your bets, your favorite teams heading into the postseason, and we shall see you back here again tomorrow.
Peace.